There are two basic ways that a lot of people use subliminal programming: the passive way and the active way. The passive way is probably the most popular, and it gets some very fast results, sometimes some significant fast results, but they are usually not that long lasting. Whereas the active process gets some good results, but they are not only long lasting, they not only stick longer, but they subsequently get better and better over time. So what's the main difference between these two? Well, the passive process is just like it sounds. It's passive. You have a general idea of what you want. You want to become a better public speaker. You want to become more seductive. You want to become more confident. So you choose a subliminal based on your desire, and you slip on the headphones and you let the sounds do the work. And what tends to happen is the sounds come in, the statements come in, and the result of the sounds is a kind of collection of ideas and imaginations in your mind. But because you're listening passively, you're not putting a lot of effort into controlling the structure of your thoughts. This thought pattern is kind of not too well contained. It's very, very unconstrained. It kind of drifts around. It's a result of the subliminal statements. And because of the sounds, your brain is going to drop down into a theta brainwave state where you're kind of half awake, half asleep. And this kind of thought structure, this unconstrained thought structure, will kind of bounce around between awake and asleep. And this will be very, very, very incoherent. It will be around a certain theme based on the subliminal that you chose, but it will be very, very incoherent. So this drops into your subconscious. This creates unconscious behaviors. The behaviors operate on the world, and the world gets a feedback to the behaviors. The world gives responses to the behaviors, and so you get a good result. But each subsequent listening doesn't really improve because you're not really controlling the process. It's very passive, and you always have this kind of jumble of thoughts that are kind of around the same theme as the subliminal that you chose to listen to, but it's not really anything that's under your control. So it kind of creates the same behaviors over and over again. The first time you go through this process, the behaviors and the results feel pretty fantastic, pretty spectacular, but you keep creating the same behaviors over and over again. This doesn't really create a lot of forward momentum because you start to run into the idea of diminishing returns because you're essentially doing the same thing over and over again. Whereas if you listen actively, you first choose an intention. You choose a specific intention of what you want. If you want to become a better public speaker, if you want to become more seductive, if you want to become more persuasive, you choose that as an intention. And then you create a highly calibrated, highly detailed visualization of what that looks like, what it looks like when you become a better public speaker. And then you hold that in mind while you listen. And then something completely different happens. Over here on the passive side, the subliminals are the cause and your thought pattern is a result. But over here, your thought pattern is under your control. You are actively holding a specific visualization in mind. So what happens is the subliminals come in and they kind of are focused or interpreted by this intention, this visualization. And this kind of combination drops down into your subconscious and creates much more specific behaviors. And this gets a much more specific response from the world. But the reason you continue to get better and better is this creates a kind of a feedback loop where every time you change your behavior subconsciously and you notice new results, that will make you come up with a slightly different visualization next time, a slightly better visualization next time. So you continue to get better and better and better, and your behavior continues to improve subconsciously, and the results you get from the world continue to improve subconsciously. This is why people that listen to subliminals actively tend to get much better results, and results that continue to increase over time. Now, there's a couple of things you can do on this side, the active side, that can significantly enhance your success. The first thing is to, when you're not listening, when you're awake and alert and out in the world, actively look for evidence. Actively look for proof that validate that you're becoming more successful. And once it kind of like looking for an Easter egg hunt in the reality that's around you. And once you find these pieces of evidence, that will significantly enhance your belief in yourself that you're getting better. And this will recalibrate your confirmation bias. And once you recalibrate your confirmation bias, you'll start to see more stuff. And this will create another self-sustaining, positive, virtuous cycle feedback loop. Another thing you can do is brainstorm things that you can try, active conscious behavior that you can try just to see what might happen. This will open you up to the feedback from the world, and this itself, by itself, even without subliminals, will help you get better and better. And so this method, this active method of listening to subliminals with an actively held, consciously created intention and visualization, and looking for evidence and trying new behaviors, this creates a much more robust system of continuous improvement and continuous development. For this method, the subliminals are one piece of a puzzle of a very congruent, very robust, continuously moving forward into a more and more successful future, while this passive method, the subliminals are thought of or treated kind of like a magic trick, and you tend to look for the next subliminal to try to get better and better results, kind of like you're chasing the dragon. Whereas over here, you can get a lot of mileage out of the same subliminal, because every time you change your intention, it will change the combination of the intention and the subliminal, even if it's the same subliminal. Because you're changing your intention, it will change the behaviors. Now, one common mistake people make over here is choosing an intention and choosing a visualization that is too far removed from what you normally do on a daily basis. For example, suppose you want to get better at seducing ladies. Suppose you want to become the best seducer in the world. But your current level of ability is you can start conversations with pretty ladies, but you can't really control the flow of the conversation as much as you would like to. So you create an intention of you having this massive harem with a bunch of gorgeous ladies that are always begging you for sex. This is probably too far removed from your current abilities. So instead, consider something that is just outside the range of your abilities, something that's just a small step outside, and choose that as your intention. That'll drop down into your subconscious. That will change your behaviors. That will get you better results from the world, and you'll keep moving forward and forward. And once you get that small step success, then choose the next step. That will, you'll create a very, very robust, very, very intention-driven journey into your better and better future. And once you set an intention, you'll start to feel like you have agency over the world. Whereas this side over here, you don't really have an intention. You're just kind of passively hoping that good things happen. But when you set an intention and you combine it with all these strategies, this will give you a real feeling of agency over the world, that you are the frame and the world is a response to your frame. And this will give you a much more better feeling of your future, which will change a lot of things. A lot of secondary responses will happen to you that will be very, very fantastic. It will make you much more charismatic. It will make you much more confident. It will give you a lot more creativity when you're thinking about the future. So try this method, a specific visualization based on what you want, a subliminal that matches that visualization, and then look for evidence in the world, and then try things just to see what will happen, and make your visualization just outside of what you're currently able to do, and that will create this massively successful, continuous, virtuous cycle feedback loop as you get better and better and better into the future. Let me know if you have any questions. If you'd like to learn more about how to use subliminals, check out the links below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.